Imagine this. I look at you, you look at me, and I smile sheepishly because I can't say what's on my mind. Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever struggled to say what's on your mind? So have I, especially as a child. And yet, children who can communicate better have better social skills, and they're more likely to be accepted by their peers. Those who don't are more prone to suffer from depression, frustration, and anger. If you and I could teach a child to be a better communicator, they wouldn't have to struggle to express themselves. They would have more opportunities and an easier time growing up. Don, Agatha, former children. When I was 10 years old, I asked my friend to bring a firecracker to school for me. Now, the firecracker that he brought was really small. We called it a woodpecker because of its size. And so I thought it was okay to have it in school with me. I slipped it into my pocket, and class began. Good morning, class. This is a search. Please stand up and empty your pockets. Imagine my heartbeat. It was like a woodpecker pecking at wood. Standing tall in the doorway was my principal, and just the man I was praying not to see, my father. Yes, my father was a teacher at my school. I looked at him, he looked at me, and I smiled sheepishly because he is my father. But then I remembered what I had in my pocket and I changed to a poker face. The look on his face changed from disbelief to shame when he realized what came out of my pocket. I looked at him, he looked at me, and I knew I had to find a new home. I opened my mouth to explain myself, but all I could do was cry. Thankfully, the firecracker was so small, my principal laughed and let me off the hook. Friends, I was lucky, but something changed that day. I realized I wasn't good at explaining myself. This realization became clearer a few years later in high school when I fell head over heels in love with this girl named Miriam. I didn't even know whether I wanted to be a lawyer, a doctor, a pilot, but I knew I had to marry this girl, move into a big house, and have many little children. Every time I thought of her, I became Shakespeare and Charles Dickens, rolled into one. Surely, with all this passion, I should be able to win over the girl of my dreams, right? I arranged a meeting. We sat down at a bench. I looked at her. She looked at me. And I smiled sheepishly because my mouth wouldn't open. She moved closer. I moved away. She said, Matthew, isn't there something you wanted to say to me today? I said, yes, As I struggled to remember what I had prepared for this girl, I realized that Shakespeare and Dickens were prisoners in my mind. This problem reached its peak a year later, when sadly, my father was diagnosed with cancer. We spent some quality time together, but my father and I, we never used to express affection in the form of words. Suddenly, his condition got worse, and he lost consciousness. I still remember the night he passed away. I was at his side. A few minutes before he breathed his last, I looked at him. And for the first time in my life, I said to him, Dad, I love you. I love you. 3 words. At times, we look for many meaningful words to say, when all we need to say are those few words that mean the world. There comes a time in your life when everything gets turned upside down. For me, this was it. The final straw and my turning point. I started to work on my communication skills. I prioritized my family. And I started looking for ways to get inspired. A few years later, a friend told me about an event called Engage. I thought it was one of those speed dating things. Can you blame me? I attended, and it had smiling, happy people, but I didn't get engaged. But I did engage with my true self, and this helped me to become a better communicator. Today I'm a lawyer, so I help other people explain the woodpeckers in their pockets. I'm a speaker that has no problem expressing himself in words. And I no longer move away when a girl moves closer. Being able to stand firm and speak clearly is an essential tool for children and young people. It can be their game changer. Somewhere out there, there is a child struggling to explain the woodpecker in his pocket, find love, and say those few words that would connect him with his father. Let's reach out and help him. As for me, I'm looking at you, you're looking at me, and I am still smiling, but no longer sheepishly. Thank you, Engage.